On CoastTV News.
A coastal plea from Bethany Beach to Fenwick Island. Erosion is still visible, and now state leaders want federal aid to fix it. A string of violence in Dover. Teen violence back in focus after back-to-back shootings. Why police say community involvement could help. And from the streets to the courts, immigration raids and National Guard deployments drive nationwide tension.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Protests and pushback over immigration raids and National Guard deployments today. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Well, legal disputes continue unfolding in President Trump's push to deploy U.S. troops to Democratic-led cities. Today, a federal judge held a hearing on whether to extend an order blocking the deployment of National Guard troops to Chicago. And meanwhile, as Ivan Rodriguez reports, immigration raids across the country are triggering protests.
Immigration raids flaring up across the country this week. A chaotic scene in New York Tuesday. Bystanders stepped in as ICE agents began arresting street vendors illegally operating along Canal Street in downtown Manhattan. In Los Angeles, a federal marshal and an undocumented immigrant were injured after an immigration and customs enforcement agent's weapon discharged during an operation, according to officials. Investigators believe gunfire erupted after an ICE officer confronted a man in a vehicle and smashed a window with their service weapon, a law enforcement source said. Authorities believe the agent's weapon discharged while they were attempting to grab the suspect, striking both the suspect and a deputy U.S. Marshal. Both are expected to recover, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Meanwhile, across the country, a number of hearings are taking place related to the deployment of National Guard troops.
You would think that would be common sense.
President Donald Trump says he feels empowered to send National Guard troops into any city he sees fit after a ruling by an appeals court allowed his troop deployment in Portland, Oregon.
We have the right to use the National Guard to put out trouble.
His administration is urging the U.S. Supreme Court to allow a similar deployment in Chicago. The justices are reviewing whether lower federal courts were correct to block Trump from deploying hundreds of National Guard members to an ICE facility in the city's suburbs. In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
And new at 11, the U.S. has imposed sanctions on two of the largest oil companies in Russia after President Trump confirmed his planned meeting with Russian President Putin was canceled. According to a statement from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Rosneft and Lukoil, as well as some subsidiaries, are being sanctioned. In the statement, Bessent said the U.S. sanctioned these oil companies because they, quote, fund the Kremlin's war machine. All right, coming back locally now, this here is what Bethany Beach's coast looked like today. It was just last week that the nor'easter left multiple beach communities in Delaware dealing with erosion. And that's what urged Delaware Governor Matt Meyer to send a letter to the Trump administration yesterday. He's asking for federal support to restore the coastlines and affected infrastructure. And today we went out to Delaware's coastal communities. We spoke with people who tell us they really hope that federal help is coming their way.
I really hope that someone can whisper into the president's ear, hey, listen, there may not be 20 million, 30 million, 50 million voters in Delaware, but do what's right. Grant them the money.
And the mayor of Bethany Beach says federal funding for beach replenishment has been hard to come by. In the midst of coastal storm season, he says he is hopeful to see federal help this spring. Now we're looking live outside into Lewis, and our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a check on the forecast. Hey, Paul.
Well, you know what? Hey, I'll say this. We are definitely preparing ourselves for a very frosty feel in the air tonight. We're already dropping into the 50s, and we're going to drop into the 40s easily, all right? Now, as far as what's expected for the rest of the night, we're going to drop into the 40s in Lewis as early as 3 o'clock, down to 49 degrees. And then we will plummet even more rapidly in that 3-hour period, possibly into the 30s. Now, we're looking very clear at this present time. We do still have an active small craft advisory over towards Castle Haven, Cambridge area, watching out for about 25-mile-per-hour winds. there and there only. Pretty much if you're traveling over the bridge, but everywhere else we've quieted down, particularly on the Atlantic side. We have a trough that's beginning to kind of slide its way across the area. I don't see that forming any problems. In fact, even cloud cover is going to be limited as far as that trough is concerned. Here's our expectations for tonight. We're going to, go into tonight and tomorrow, we're going to drop into the 40s pretty easily, generally speaking, but we're going to have even lower temperatures than mid 40s in some locations. I'll detail that for you coming up in our full forecast. Till then, back to you, Christina.
Thank you, Paul. Well, a new Wawa is set to be built on Route 24 and Mulberry Knoll Road in Lewis. It's important to note this is not the same as that Costco development we've been telling you about. This project will include a gas station and convenience amenities. According to DSM Commercial and Scalado Development, preparations are underway right now, and construction is expected to be complete by early spring or summer of 2026. Now, the land between New Road and Lighthouse Road in Selbyville may soon have more than 200 homes. On Tuesday, the Sussex County Council held a public hearing for the request to rezone land that's next to Mackey Farms and build the Marlin Cove development. According to the applicant, more housing and this certain type of housing would be beneficial to the area. But some neighbors we spoke with say they don't want to see it happen. Also, the farm next door says it could affect their recreational hunting, which is something they've been doing for decades. According to the proposal, the plan calls for 210 units. That's 106 homes and 104 duplexes across more than 60 acres. But farmer Ellen Maggie says this would cause problems for the land they use for recreational hunting.
Family members before me have had the right to hunt, to shoot guns for 160 years. I want that protected.
And Sussex County Council did not make a decision at that public hearing on rezoning the land. A decision was deferred to a later date. One community in Worcester County is celebrating the end of a year-long project. Snow Hill held a ribbon-cutting ceremony earlier today. They're marking the completion of the Purnell Street revitalization. The project, which began last year, includes new water and sewer services, storm drains, fire hydrants, repaving, as well as some curb and gutter repair. And the Director of Rural Economic Strategy says projects like this are essential to help communities grow.
This is paramount to everything, is to have a high quality of life. And this is the best way to do it, is through infrastructure. You know, it's your foundation. You know, if you have a clean, safe street, you have a clean, safe neighborhood. You know, so it all plays one thing right into the next, to job creation, to wealth building, to generational blessings, and off we go.
And that project was primarily funded by the Maryland Department of the Environment and through the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Now to Dover, where back-to-back shootings have many people in the community concerned. Early Sunday morning, a 16-year-old boy was shot in a drive-by shooting on Trafalgar Drive. Then on Monday, 4 men, including 2 18-year-olds, were shot at a home on Mifflin Road. At this point last year, Dover police say the city had 41 shootings, and so far this year, that number is slightly down to 32 shootings. Police say while violent crime is trending down overall, youth-involved gun violence remains a concern, and they're continuing efforts to connect with young people and increase patrols.
It's really easy to, fall into the street life and go to what's cool or perceived to be cool. But there's other options out there, there's other things for you to do, and if you're in a capital school district, talk to one of the SROs. There's lots of resources that we have, and we just want to encourage the youth to stay out of the streets.
And Dover police also encourage more community involvement and victim cooperation. They say that helps them keep a closer watch on the city streets. The Pallet Village in Georgetown, which is operated by Springboard Collaborative, has released new numbers as public criticism of homelessness grows in town. The village says that out of 201 total people that have lived there, 59 have moved into permanent housing. 46 left the program without securing housing. Of those, 24 went back to the woods in Georgetown, while 22 were transported to other locations outside of town. The village has removed some individuals for violating rules. That includes drug use and panhandling. And we're going to check on our CoastTV poll now because we want to know what that new data from the Pallet Village, what does it say to you? So far, it looks like 44% say the program is working. 2% think it needs fixing. 17% say, hey, it's better than nothing. 37% though, they say it's not sustainable. We also have a comment tonight. This is from Drew in Rehoboth. He says, to know 59 people now have a home has to be truly rewarding. He says, great work so far. Thank you, Drew, for the comment. And you can leave your own comment. You can also still vote. All you have to do is go to CoastTV.com or use our mobile app. And we still have more news to get to after the break. Coming up, the local impacts of the ongoing government shutdown and how people on the coast are dealing with limited services. Plus, it is almost time for the Sea Witch Festival in Rehoboth Beach. We have a reminder about this year's new parking regulations. And coming up, Paul Williams is in the Coast TV First Alert Weather Center. He has your full forecast right after this.
Clear skies and light winds for tonight will set us up perfectly for us to cool off and have that fall feeling in the air, if not even a frosty feel in the air for perhaps even as early as Friday morning, possibly even tomorrow morning. We're at 58 degrees in Ocean City right now, courtesy of our Gateway Subaru camera. The wind's only moving at about 5 miles per hour, a far cry from what we've been dealing with most of the week. And by the way, the small craft advisory has been expired for just about everybody except for the folks right over in the Cambridge area. We'll drop to 49 degrees by 3 o'clock in Ocean City, and that's where it's going to drop slower. Right along the Atlantic side, we're going to drop a little bit faster than that as you go inland, actually. But we do still have one small craft advisory that's in effect for us if you're traveling along the Bay Bridge area. So still a little breezy there. But a trough is now sliding through, but it's relatively quite a docile trough as it slides through. We may see a few scattered clouds here and there, but even the cloud cover is going to stay limited with this. We are currently in the 40s in a lot of locations, 47 in Redden, Bridgeville, as well as Laurel, 49 in Seaford, 49 degrees right now in Georgetown. And we're going to dive a little bit more because our overnight lows, peep this out, folks. I'm showing you. I tried to avoid it all week long, but now this is the reality check. 38 degrees. Inland areas, we may even dip to 37 in some areas, so that's how cool it's going to be. But at least tonight, because of the clear skies, we'll enjoy a great view of the meteor shower tonight and for tomorrow. The rate's going to be up to 20 meteors per hour, okay? From 1 o'clock to about dawn, just before the sun comes up. And so when you kind of think about how chilly we're going to be, remember, now our first frost typically is October the 23rd. And by the way, the first freeze is typically November the 10th. We're going to be chilly early for tomorrow, but lots of sunshine. 63 for the high in Georgetown, for example. And we'll warm to about 65 degrees for the high in Cambridge, and then Ocean City, 65 degrees. For Thursday, we'll have winds primarily pushing out of the west between 14 to 17 miles per hour, but that's a far cry from the 20 and 30 mile per hour wind gusts we've been dealing with. We go into Thursday morning, we're on the cool side and clear skies. We'll see a few scattered clouds in Georgetown as well as Lewis and Rehoboth by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Pretty clear in most locations. Friday, we start off clear. We end up clear by lunchtime, and we stay that way. And it's going to be really chilly, particularly for Saturday morning. And you'll notice as we go with our 3-day beach outlook, notice how we're going down with each day from 66 to 62 to 60. For Chincoteague, for example, here, let me show you another example. In Ocean City, we go from 64 to 59 to 57 on Saturday. So we dip into, and those are the highs for the day, not the lows. We're going to go from 62 down to 59 in Rehoboth Beach. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Now, if you're going to go out and enjoy the Sea Witch Festival, we'll be out there handing out candy because we're going to follow protocol. But as you're getting ready for the Sea Witch Festival and all that kind of stuff with the parade, be sure you wear your long sleeves. You're going to need them.
All right, good to know. Thank you, Paul. And like Paul just said, Sea Witch, it's just days away. And according to the Rehoboth Beach Police Department, new parking restrictions will be in effect this year. There's going to be no parking along the entirety of Rehoboth Avenue from 1 a.m. Friday until 6 a.m. If your car is parked there Friday morning, police say it's getting towed. Nobody likes that. The city wants to prevent people from parking in front of businesses days ahead of the parade, saying they could be hogging spots ahead of time. Now on the avenue, no median parking is allowed beginning at 1 a.m. on Saturday, October 25th. That restriction is in place through the end of the parade.
DART is running something special this year where you can, in advance, purchase a wristband so that way you can take the DART all day. And you have the wristband on. You don't have to worry about having the app. You don't have to worry about having cash to get on and off. You park really at either the Rehoboth Park and Ride or the Lewis Transit Center.
Yeah, that's good stuff to know there. Take the DART bus. Also, Dewey Beach is getting spooky a little early this weekend ahead of Halloween. The Dewey Business Partnership set to hold a haunted zombie beach spooktacular and haunted graveyard on October 24th and the 25th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Just a great community event. Like this is rising tide. Everybody comes into into town for the Rehoboth Parade, to Lewis events, to Dewey events. It's just everyone's having a great time, and we're just glad to be part of it.
And almost 20 volunteers have helped arrange haunted houses, beach bonfires, and live music for that event in Dewey. Coming up next, more on the government shutdown. As it drags on, families who rely on SNAP are bracing for some tough choices.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
We're back now with the local and widespread impacts of the government shutdown. Both the Sussex County VA Clinic and the Social Security Office are open. They were open today with appointments continuing, but it was a different story over at the Prime Hook National Wildlife Refuge. Guided bird walks, a photography contest, all events over the past few weeks have been canceled, and they'll continue to be canceled. As Emma Aiken explains, the Friends of Prime Hook say staff is furloughed without pay right now, and there's no one available to answer the phone.
The Social Security Administration in Georgetown. 3 weeks into the government shutdown, the building is still open, but people like Kimberly Baptiste say they're now short-handed in the office.
If I didn't have an appointment already months and months and months ago, I really would have been in a lot of trouble.
The Sussex County VA Clinic remains open, and one veteran we spoke with says his health care has continued as normal. But for the Prime Hook National Wildlife Refuge, the visitor center is closed and all events are canceled due to the shutdown. We reached out to the refuge, but no one is available to answer the phone.
Due to a lack of appropriations funding, I'm currently on furlough and will return once appropriations funding is approved by the Congress and the government returns to normal operations.
Shane Boland says he's looking forward to Prime Hook returning to normal.
I found that pretty unfortunate that they can't do some of these activities because the weather's just been so great, and it makes it difficult to find a good time of year to do it, and this is a perfect time, unfortunately.
The situation is similar over in Assateague Island National Seashore. The park remains open, but some services are limited.
Now, while the visitor center was closed there at Prime Hook, events are canceled. The bathrooms are still open for those visiting the refuge. Also, millions of Americans may soon lose access to food stamps in November if this government shutdown continues. Officials say there are not enough federal dollars left over to pay out full SNAP and WIC benefits to the families who receive them. Jen Sullivan has details on other resources to help out these families.
Millions of Americans are at risk of losing critical benefits that help them cover grocery expenses and formula for babies.
They don't get paid livable wages, and so their budget is the difference between them being able to pay their rent, being able to pay childcare, car insurance.
Gina Platanino is the acting director for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP at the Food Research and Action Center, an advocacy group. Roughly 42 million people rely on SNAP benefits to help pay for food. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says SNAP has about $6 billion in a contingency fund, but November SNAP benefits are expected to total $8 billion. The other federally funded program impacted is WIC, Women, Infant, and Children, which provides financial assistance to more than 6 million pregnant women, new moms, and children up to the age of 5.
The rising food costs are squeezing families. Formula is so expensive, and without having access to WIC benefits, folks are going to have to decide what to do in terms of feeding their baby and feeding their family.
Dr. Colleen Delaney with the nonprofit Vitamin Angel says they work with several WIC facilities. She says families who need help during this uncertain time can turn to local health departments, their pediatrician who may have formula samples they can give out, and food banks. But long lines are already forming at some food banks like this one in Iowa.
The charitable food system cannot fill this gap, no matter how hard we try.
With November around the corner, there's little sign this shutdown will end anytime soon. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Coming up in sports, we hear from the new head coach of the Delaware Bluecoats and see where it all began for the former assistant. And coming up, new pregnancy research and how it could help prevent premature births.
Here's a look at your golf forecast. Well, you know what? It's going to be clear enough to play. It's going to be on a little bit on the cold side, so we'll call it fair, but we're going to have that frosty feeling early with a high of 61.
We salute Tyler Baer, a proud U.S. Marine Corps veteran who honorably served from 2005 to 2010 with deployments in Japan and Afghanistan. Following his military service, Tyler continued his commitment to protecting others as an officer with the Dagsboro and Selbyville Police Departments, and now serves the South Bethany Beach community. Deeply respected and appreciated by his family, friends, and neighbors, Officer Baer stands as a shining example of dedication and service. We thank him for his unwavering devotion to both country and community.
Spicer Brothers and CoastTV are honoring military persons and first responders serving Delmarva. If you have a family member, friend, or community member that you would like to nominate for a CoastTV salute, go to coasttvsalutes.com.
Columbia University researchers are developing new technology that could help prevent premature births. They're using ultrasound images to create a digital twin, revealing how a woman's body changes during pregnancy. And as Rana Novini reports, that could give doctors a new way to spot trouble early.
Family photos may show 4, but Connecticut mom Brittany Crystal says they'll always be a family of 5. Her middle child, Iris, was born prematurely and passed away at 28 weeks. That loss made Brittany take action.
This is how you parent the ones who don't come home. So like you never get over it, and you're completely changed as a person. And so what do you do with that?
What she did was turn to science, finding and funding groundbreaking research with the Iris Fund.
She's preparing a mouse cervix.
Like innovations coming out of this Columbia University engineering lab.
We like testing the cervix. It's a miraculous material.
Kristen Myers, professor of mechanical engineering at Columbia, is leading a team of mostly female researchers developing a virtual cervix, a tool doctors can use to help pregnant women understand the risk of a preterm birth and help find and test medical interventions to help. Kristen's team uses ultrasound images to create a digital twin.
A digital twin is a digital representation of something in the physical world. In your standard of care, can we build these maternal models that I can build a virtual representation of you and then ask what if scenarios?
You think down the line this could be something that's used in every pregnancy?
100%.
Dr. Mirella Murad, director of Columbia University Irving Medical Center's Preterm Birth Prevention Center, says 1 in 10 births in the U.S. is premature, and that statistic hasn't budged in years.
The final pathway to all of the issues is the cervix opening up prematurely. Someone having their first pregnancy, we don't know what's going to happen until it happens to them.
For all the questions that we start to ask as moms, we have very few answers.
With October being Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, this team hopes to make a difference. Brittany will be running the New York City Marathon to raise more money, defining the legacy of her daughter Iris.
Brittany is the reason we come to work every day.
And Kristen says her work will continue, saving lives with science.
We will never leave. We will never stop doing this research.
Moving to sports, the Delmarva Sport Network's Kayla Santiago heads to Wilmington, Delaware for a feature of the newest addition to the 76ers organization. It's time to head to the home of the Bluecoats for more.
The Delaware Bluecoats, NBA G League affiliate of the Philadelphia 76ers, have a new head man in town who is no stranger to Chase Fieldhouse.
This is something I've been working for a long time. So this is my 13th year in the professional game. So year 5 with the Bluecoats. So ever since I was a little kid, I probably wanted to be a player first. But when those days ended, quickly went to coaching. So being the son of a multi-generational coach, and my grandfather coached University of Central Florida back in the day, and then my father coached at Flagler College in Florida for 31 years, so I've been around it for a long time, had my own journey, so I'm very excited for the opportunity to lead the Bluecoats this year.
When did it become real for you that you wanted to be a head coach of a professional team? When was that moment in your career that you said, this is what I want to work towards one day?
The chance to work for really good head coaches. I've been very fortunate as an assistant to really work for some great coaches, including Doc Rivers, Nick Nurse, Tyronn Lue. You just go down the list, and I think you become a product of those coaches that you're around, and you take little things and they kind of shape your own philosophy. So I think just having that opportunity to work alongside some really good coaches kind of inspired that.
J.P. Clark and the Delaware Bluecoats will start their season November 8th against the Westchester Knicks at 1 p.m. at Chase Fieldhouse. Reporting from Wilmington, Delaware for the Delmarva Sports Network, I'm Kayla Santiago.
Now here's a live look into Rehoboth Beach, a pretty empty boardwalk tonight. We have one more check on your forecast after the break.
In Dover, 56 degrees right now. We'll drop to 49 with clearing skies by 3 o'clock. Still have an active small craft advisory across the Chesapeake Bay area. Aside from that, we're staying relatively clear and kind of dry just to our southwest. Umbrella giveaway winner, Gary Triglia of Berlin. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. You can call our weather line and keep up with your forecast. Sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mendalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. And you'll notice, unfortunately, Christina, I had to be forced to recognize that we're going to see 38, then 39, then 40.
So I have to wear a jacket over my Halloween costume.
You might even have to wear a beanie for the parade.
I was planning on it. Thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can always find more. Just download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.